Welcome back for another episode of a Runnin podcast, coming to you all the way from on top of a volcano in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I'm Clint, and thanks for joining me again for another episode. So let's get right into it. Exciting week, or past several weeks actually. Let me go ahead and start off with a supplement shout out. For this supplement shout out, I'm going to be shouting out Scratch Recovery Mix. I've been using that because I've been doing some activities that have required me to sweat a lot. And I find that using that recovery mix, I'm using the horchata flavored, but they also make chocolate and I believe vanilla if you're not into horchata. Been using it to replenish what I've lost in some activities, including hot yoga and also half of an ultra marathon. We'll get into that in a little bit. Had a life lesson, teachable moment. But yeah, that's the only thing I really wanted to shout out. Also, I've said it before, but I use a couple things daily. Turkey tail mushroom capsules from Paul Stamets, and also GAT's multivitamin with testosterone support, and also multi-test, I think is what it's called. I use the gold. I usually was using the tablets, but then I've switched to the elite, which is powder that mixes up with water and makes like a little drink. Currently not using that. They recommend that you do 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, which is weird because it is kind of like steroids, because I think they do cycles when you're taking anabolic steroids. But anyway, maybe it's just a marketing thing, just to make it more edgy. But anyways, I usually take those things daily. But yeah, the only thing that's changed is I've changed from the gold testosterone support to the elite, which is a powdered drink mix. So, yep, that's it for supplement shout out. On to Big Island races. I've got several sites pulled up here. I'll go ahead and start with Ultra Sign Up, because ultras are near and dear to my heart, and maybe to most people that listen to this podcast as well. So on Ultra Sign Up right now for the Big Island, Under the Moon, 200K, 100K, 100K relay, 50K relay, and 25, and it ran out of room. So I'm not sure all of the other events that are going to be in this one, but that's Under the Moon, Saturday, June 26, 2021. The city listed is Hilo, but please check the website or Ultra Sign Up for more information. Again, that's Under the Moon. 200K, 100K, 100K relay, 50K relay, and 25, which I'm assuming is 25K. And there may be other sub events there. Time for Wine, which is a 6 hour, which means you just go for as far as you can go for 6 hours. A 5K, and then 3 hours, which means you go as far as you can go for 3 hours. That's going to be Saturday, August 21st, 2021. And Volcano is the city that's listed there. Again, check Ultra Sign Up or the race website for more details. And then finally, Go Big is a 260 miler relay, 100 miler relay, and then 100 something. It cutoff, but I'm assuming that's 100K. That's Friday, December 31st, 2021. The city list is Hilo, but as I said before, check the website or Ultra sign up for more details. This next set of races is brought to you by HawaiiRunningRoom.com because that's where I'm reading off these. They don't support this podcast in any way except for providing this nice consolidated list of races around the different islands. For Big Island, it looks like January 2020, Revel Kalia. That is a full marathon, half marathon road run in Waikoloa. That's going to be on Saturday, January 18th at 6:30 a.m. More details at hawaiirunningroom.com/races. Run for Hope 5K is going to be Sunday, September 9th at 7 a.m. And that's at the Four Seasons Resorts in Hualalai. That is a 5K run walk. In March 2020, I just realized I'm reading stuff for 2020. Now I feel stupid. I'm an idiot. All right. So I'm thinking that maybe HawaiiRunningRoom.com needs to update their race site. But then I also need to read before I start announcing stuff. Good thing I pulled up other sites. So on to races for this year. Sorry about that. Pardon me. I am a moron. March 14th, 2021. That's going to be on a Sunday. Big Island International Marathon. That is a full marathon, half marathon, 10K, 5K, and a 2-mile run. That's going to be in Hilo, Hawaii. And you can get more details on that at runningintheusa.com. And look for Hawaii County, races in Hawaii County. That is a Boston Marathon qualifier for anyone that is interested in that detail. June 5th, 2021, that is a Saturday. Ironman 70.3. That's going to be in Waimea. That is a half triathlon for people that like to multitask. June 26th, 2021. Another Saturday, Under the Moon. I already read that. 200K, 100K, 50K. Hilo, Hawaii is the start. Finishes in Waimea. I'm assuming that is different depending on the different distances that you run. Maybe I should try not to read the ones that I've already read as well, so as not to be redundant. The Kona Marathon, June 27th, 2021. That's on a Sunday. That is a full marathon, half marathon, 10K, and 5K run. That's going to be in Kailua Kona. August 21st, 2021. The Time for Wine. I think I already read this too. But it's a 6-hour, 3-hour, 5K trail run. That is in Volcano. September 18th, 2021. This is a favorite of mine, the Ka'u Coffee Trail Runs. That is a half marathon, 10K, 5K trail run, and that's a nice one. That one will make your legs feel nice and wobbly. That's in Pahala, Hawaii. October 9th, 2021, the Ironman World Championship. That is the Ironman Triathlon in Kona, Hawaii. November 13th, 2021, the 100% Pure Kona Coffee Marathon, 26.2 and 13.1. That is a full marathon and a half marathon, and that's going to be in Kailua Kona. I'm probably way far out ahead, but I'll just finish off this list. November 13th, 2021, the FLWR Walk Run for Literacy. That's a 5K run in Waikoloa. November 26th, 2021, Ultraman World Championships. That's an ultra triathlon, Kailua Kona, Hawaii. And then finally, December 19th, 2021, the Jingle Bell Beach Run. It's a 5K in Kailua Kona on the Big Island. All right. So thanks a lot to runningintheusa.com for compiling that list. You can check out all the race details for those that I just read on runningintheusa.com. And I'll go ahead and move on to the next. I did want to briefly mention Hawaii Running Lab is hosting a Kalapawai mile, 10K, and 40 miler. You can go to hawaiirunninglab.com/Kalapawai. That's KALAPAWAI. And you can see details for that one. But essentially, the registration is between January 21st and March 21st. You will have until March 31st to upload your results. You run one of the distances, which are, again, 1 mile, 10K, or 40 miler, and read all the rest of the details at hawaiirunninglab.com. They did have another one listed, but that one is unfortunately already done, it looks like. So on to the next. I'm looking. I had another list. I'm going to try to go down through this one and miss everything that I've already read. Of course, if I didn't already, I think I've already mentioned this, but Big Island International Marathon, March 14th, 2021. That's, I think next week or the week after, something like that. Yeah. So that's a cool one. Check that one out. That's a nice route. I might need to jump in on that. All right. The next one, Hapalua Hawaii Half Marathon. That is in Waimea, Hawaii. It says virtual. I don't know if all of these are virtual. You can check out details for that at runguides.com/Hawaii/runs. That's going to be April 11th, 2021. Again, Hapalua Hawaii's Half Marathon. It says virtual road and half marathon, so check on that. Volcanoes Ohia Lehua Half Marathon, that's June 2021, to be determined. So I'm not sure if that means they don't know if that's going to happen or if it's maybe not going to happen on that date. But anyway, that's in Volcano. That is a trail 5K half marathon. I think, let's see, there's another Volcano Ohia Lehua run in July 2021. That is a road 5K, 10K half marathon. I don't know if that's just like a different placeholder date from the other one, but again, you can get more details at runningguides.com/Hawaii/runs. The 100% Pure Kona Coffee Marathon, I think I already read this, but just in case I didn't, that's on November 2021. 100 to 500 participants in Kailua, Kona. I don't know why I read the number of participants on that one. But anyways, Hawaii Bird Conservation Marathon, December 2021. That is also to be determined, Hilo, Hawaii. And Hilo to Volcano Ultra and Relay. That is slated for somewhere around January 2022. Hilo, Hawaii. That one goes all the way from Coconut Island up to Volcano. That is a 50K and 50K relay for anybody interested in that. And this one actually lists a little event that I just did. The Bacoa Spring Fling is going to be February 2022. That's to be determined. I don't know. Why is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Hawaii County, Hawaii, it says. It's actually a little north, and now I can't remember the name of that place. But look up Bacoa Farms, Bokoa That is where this one will be taking place, I believe. I just did the, I guess, summerish or winterish version of this. And it was very challenging, but we'll get to that in just a second. All right, I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with me stumbling through all those lists, but I think that's about all the things that I can mess up reading for races coming up. On to shoe stories, and I promise to only tell true shoe stories. As I mentioned previously a bunch of million times, I usually wear the Ultra King MTs, and I like them a lot because of the Vibram outsoles. I'm not sponsored by them, but if anybody from Ultra is listening, I would love to be. I have found that maybe I need to not upgrade, but keep a more cushioned shoe in my quiver for runs that are going to be longer in duration, or perhaps a little more stressful and rougher. I don't want to say rougher terrain, because the King MTs are pretty capable with the Vibram outsoles, and they're kind of aggressive, sort of cleated tread. But case in point, I did part of a 50K. I only made it for 16 miles. Not last weekend, but the weekend before, I believe. And that was a Bacoa event, but I can't remember to save my life what the actual full name of the event was. But Bacoa Spring Fling, it's the same organizers and the same location. And it may actually even be the same one that I did, but I just know that there's two Bacoa events. So at any rate, I could easily look on Ultra Sign Up and tell you, but I've already closed that window. So, oh well, we'll just let me get back to the point. So during that, I was wearing the King MTs, and so I'm not going to blame everything 100% on the shoes. A lot of that was because of my condition going into that event. But I will say that it may not have hurt to actually have had something more like the Olympus, or at least like a Temp, or these are all Ultra models. What is the other one that I can't think of now? Lone Peaks. They weigh a little bit more, but they also have a little more cushion in there. Who's to say if I would have fared any better? But I think I may need to get a new pair of the Olympus, which has recently undergone some changes in the new version. It's a lot lighter and not as clunky. You can just look at it and tell that it's not as clunky. So stability would probably be less of an issue. And then I heard it from somebody who actually ran around Big Island. And I think that they know what they're talking about just based off of that alone. But they did say that those were lighter than the older model Olympus. So I may have some of those in my future. But yeah, so as far as shoe stories, that's my only true shoe story, is that I love the Ultra King MTs, and they were very durable, and I did get them wet during that race, but they dried pretty quickly and they adhered to the ground I made purchase, and I never felt unstable or like I might slip or anything. So they did their job for sure. but I probably could have used maybe a little bit more cushioning. My legs were toast around the halfway point. And all of that particular race was uphill or downhill. So like I say, I don't know if it would have made a huge difference in the outcome, but it probably wouldn't have hurt to have a little bit more cushioning underneath. But it also wouldn't have hurt to have had a lot more training leading up to that on inclines, going up and down hills. I've pretty much been on beach road for this whole year. But anyway, I'm straying from the point. That's my only shoe story. Maybe try to diversify your shoe portfolio just a little bit. I'm not recommending that you buy like 8 pairs of shoes, but you may want to have a pair of cushiony ones just on retainer in case you need them. Yeah, and so that's just the flip side, because I'm usually touting the King MTs. Those are kind of my favorite ultra model, but sometimes there are use cases for a little bit more cushion. Don't try to be a Rambo. Don't try to be a hero in King MTs on a 50K or a 50 miler or 100 miler. All right, so I digress. Trail time. Heyo. Now I'm going to tell you more about the 50K that I did not last weekend, but the weekend before. Let me pull up Ultra Sign Up real quick, just so I can tell you for real what the race was that I did. It's so funny for me to call anything a race because I do not race when I'm in these things. I'm a turtle. I take it pretty slow. So let me see if I can log in here. I thought that you could log into stuff and sort of see your past stuff. I'm so out of it. Ultra Sign Up, I mean, no offense to Ultra Sign Up, but they've never had the best site in terms of navigating around. They're working on it. It's gotten better. All right, so look, here's the results. Let's see if anything comes up. I'm searching for myself. That is not me. Let's see. Crap. Okay, here we go. Clinton Fowler's results. Okay. So it was the Bacoa Spring Fling, and the name of the place where it's at is Ninole. And if you go to Ultra Sign Up and you look at the results for that, you will notice that next to my name is a huge DNF, which stands for did not finish. Oh my goodness. And it looks like there may be photos. There might be photos of me there. Not sure. Ultra Sign Up's weird. But that's what I want to kind of talk about, is that big old DNF. So in the past, I've done much longer events than that 50K. And so I went into that with a certain amount of hubris, but also a certain amount of understanding that my training over the past year has not been what it needed to be. When I ran the 100-mile ultramarathon, my year prior to that, like leading up to that, understand that event that only lasted for around 30 hours. For me, for some people it lasted much less, but that still, when you put it in perspective, is a relatively short amount of time for all of the trail time that I spent leading up to that event over the course of the preceding, year and probably a year and a half. For about a year and a half, without fail, I ran every day somewhere in the ballpark of at least 7 miles. And that wasn't a flat 7 miles. That was up an incline and then back down an incline and then, side roads and everywhere in between. And so I had, I built my muscles and my muscle memory and my body to be efficient on these inclines, and then mentally, built up toughness to be able to handle, going up and down these this rocky terrain, in all kinds of weather, rain, or shine. And so this year, not so much. I've mostly been going down to Beach Road, or down by Hilo Bay, which is incredibly flat. I mean, you're just basically right there at sea level as well. And there's really not any elevation gain or elevation loss on either of those routes. Now, when I used to run the more southerly parts of Beach Road, there was a minute amount of elevation gain and loss, but nothing in comparison to the watershed management area where I did most of my training for the 100-miler, or Mauna Kea or Power Lines or somewhere like that, where it's a little bit or a lot of bit tougher terrain, and a little more talk about diversifying portfolios, diversifying your portfolio of toughness and ability to deal with discomfort. I just have not been doing that this year, and so I went into the Bocoa Spring Fling. It was kind of not a great week or two for me. I've been doing hot yoga, as I mentioned before. That's something that I recently started, and I do like going to those hot yoga classes. I enjoy the heat because there's you get to sweat everything out, and I do sweat a lot. I don't really know if there's like a medical benefit to that, but it feels good to me. I get to do some things that are super uncomfortable, and kind of build up that kind of toughness mentally. Also gaining a lot of flexibility. I'm noticing just in the few weeks that I've been going that I've been able to stretch a little bit more, kind of touch my toes and bend a little bit closer to my knees, and, becoming more flexible. So I'm all for it. And the only reason that I said all that is because I didn't want to make it seem like the next thing I'm going to say that I'm putting down yoga or hot yoga or whatever. But this is probably because of bad technique, but I had also overstretched my legs down near the calcaneus, like the heel of my foot. Hopefully the calcaneus is the way that you pronounce that, and also the right anatomical location. I hope I'm not messing that up. But right down at the heel of your foot where everything sort of attaches down there. I think I pulled something or strained it or whatever. So every time I was walking on my or running on my right leg down at the ankle, I've got something that's causing me pain. So I'm kind of like limping around on that. Just probably overstretching it during hot yoga. And not really training, So I went into this event, thinking with a certain amount of hubris, thinking I've done tough things before. I'll draw out of my mental cookie jar, and this will suck, but I'll get through it. Unfortunately, this is not my saying, but I like it a lot. You can't believe that you're going to climb a rope in gym class. Like, you can't just show up with the belief, believe in yourself, and then you're going to climb the rope in gym class. Like, unfortunately, there's a little bit more to it than that. You actually have to practice and train and get good at that before you just waltz into gym class and climb up the rope. And so if you don't keep sharpening that skill, you can lose it. And so I learned during this 50K that just because I've done hard things in the past doesn't mean that I can just show up out of shape, injured as well, and then just fumble my way through an event. And so I ended up, I got to the halfway point, and I knew that I needed to pronounce that particular run dead. Just because of the way that my legs were feeling, I knew that going the second half would probably have me laid up for a lot longer than I wanted to be. And also at this point, I'm not keen on visiting any hospitals or acquiring any kind of medical bills, and I didn't want to get some kind of really crazy overuse injury or risk possibly something tearing. I hate to say it, but I'm 40 years old now, and so there's kind of a expectation that things will sort of break down. I'm hoping that's not true, and I'm hoping to stay in shape, but I'm still I'm kind of overly cautious about that. I just, maybe it was the wrong thing to do, or maybe it was the right thing to do, but I kind of just made a judgment call on I don't want to be injured. I want to be able to still run, a week from now, and just kind of wait it that way. That was my rationale. And so I didn't relish it, but I knew that I had already done 2 loops and I had 2 more to go, and my legs are just exhausted. Now, I will say that one of the things that I've learned in doing much, much longer events is that it does not always get worse. Sometimes these things actually do get better. I probably could have stayed and stuck it out. I think I was in a poopy pants frame of mind that day and just did not have the resolve, the intestinal fortitude to press on. But it was a good learning lesson for me, and that's how I'm going to look at it. And I think that anytime so you have to be careful. You don't want to overthink things and talk yourself out of finishing tough things. Talk yourself out of it when you could have finished something tough. Make a bunch of excuses. So you don't want to go too far. But then on the other side of that coin, you have to kind of assess, like, is this going to be worth it to, damage my body and possibly, have to wear a brace or be out of, be inactive for several weeks after this. For me, I need to just stay active. I want to be able to stay active. But anyway, excuses. That's my story about the 50K. The takeaway is, girls and boys, don't forget to continuously do hard things, do tough things that keep you sharpened, so that you don't lose that perspective and you don't lose that sort of mental toughness. Don't show up to the to the 50K unprepared. It was pretty embarrassing for me to have to stop. I did feel embarrassed, and I did feel a little bit of like, what's the word? Like, I didn't feel sorry for the organizer. That's not the right word, but I felt bad. Like, I felt disrespectful in quitting halfway. Like, they had gone through the trouble to organize this thing, and they were going to be there for the rest of the day until everybody finished. And then there were other people that were out on the trail that were actually, dealing with their own circumstances and finishing it out. And so there was all kinds of things that I felt. I didn't lose any sleep over it. I wasn't like that distraught, but I did. There was a certain amount of, I'm sorry kind of feeling, that I didn't finish. But anyways, I've talked this into the ground. Just remember to keep doing tough things and keep yourself sharp. And I also point that finger back at myself, and will be remembering that advice as well. On to the next. Oh, wait, no, trail time. Let's stay right there. So, in kind of piggybacking off that whole conversation, or not conversation, but story about the 50K and not doing hard things, I got invited to a run, actually at that, after I had quit, and my legs were still, hurting and burning and cramping and sore. I got invited to a run on Mauna Kea on R1. So if you're not familiar with R1, it runs around, kind of like up and around Mauna Kea, which is a 14,000 foot elevation mountain. It's a dormant volcano, or maybe extinct. I don't know the exact status of that one. On the island of Hawaii, it's the tallest elevation, the highest elevation on the Big Island. I think in all the islands, I think. But anyways, we did not go all the way to 14,000 feet. Of course, we hovered around 10,000, I do believe, like between 9 and 10,000 feet. But I got invited to this run while I'm still reeling from the the half of a 50K that I just quit. And I was like, sure, yeah, okay. I'll go to that. I didn't really see how that was going to happen, but, I figured it'll probably take me about a week to get over, delayed onset muscle soreness and hopefully resolve this heel issue. The heel issue is still there. So I don't think I really, really, really messed anything up, but I think I really messed something up. Not really, 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 but just really. But so I got invited to this thing, and I didn't know if I would actually be able to go or not. Fingers were crossing, and I was hoping that everything would resolve, and it sort of did. Like by the following Wednesday, I ran the 50K, the half of 50K I ran on Saturday, and then the following Wednesday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was already feeling a lot better. I kind of knew that by Friday I would be good enough to get back out on the trail. So, everything got firmed up, as far as the details, and I made my commitment. I'll be there 7 a.m. on Saturday to start this thing. Of course, I arrived about, I think, 5 or 7 minutes late, and took my sweet ass time getting all my stuff together. Sorry about that, everybody that was there, for holding everybody up, but that's basically my MO, and that's why I run alone most of the time. I'm not a huge talker, and it's not that I don't like people or I don't enjoy the company of others. Sometimes I like to have quiet time. Usually during running, that's my quiet time. But then also, I'm so slow about everything that it's highly annoying for people that are much more efficient and prepared. So, yeah. But anyway, made my commitment, went to sleep, got up the next morning. It was pouring down rain in Hilo, which is much, much lower elevation down towards the shore, or basically on the shore. It's pouring down rain. I think there was even some lightning going on. Texted some folks, hey, are we still doing this? Yeah, that was about, like 4 or 5 in the morning. And so I got all my stuff, put in the truck, got ready, and then started driving. It took about, I think maybe about like an hour, maybe a little under an hour, I don't remember, to get to the visitor center at Mauna Kea. And I don't know if I fully explained R1, but I get sidetracked. We met up at the visitor center around 7, we'll say 7-ish. And the weather was actually better up there. It cleared out because it is at about, I think, like 9,800 feet or something like that, where we met. It was a little bit cold, though. I think the temperature was around 50 degrees, something like that, at the visitor center. I was not woefully unprepared, but a little bit not as good, not as well prepared as I should have been. I only took, I had on a long sleeve, what do you call it? Like a polyester or synthetic shirt, like a running shirt, like a moisture wicking type thing. Long sleeve, like I say, and was wearing shorts up there. And I had no like beanie cap, nothing to really retain heat, no hooded jacket or anything like that, and nothing that was waterproof or windproof. Just my pack, and I had some beef jerky and a couple of those, I forget what they're called, but they're like a protein cookie. And so I had enough to go, but not enough to like go safely. So I show up to this thing, and then I get my stuff ready pretty fast. Thankfully, I already had some scratch mixed up from the ultra marathon the weekend before. I had just put in the refrigerator and let it sit all week. I don't even know if it retained all of its electrolyte replenishing properties during that week, but I had it, so I took it with me. It was just one less thing to have to make or mix up when I got there. But so I had all that stuff, and I put my pack together pretty quickly. And there's a reason that I'm telling all of this. We get all our stuff and we get going. There was not a hateful pressure, I guess, but there was kind of a laughing pressure to like, let's get going. Like a mild joking type pressure, I guess. But so we got going, we got out on the trail, and it got substantially colder as we climbed, and my legs were still a little bit kind of upset with me from the weekend previous, but I knew that I needed to do this because it was the first step in many towards kind of building up my that resilience that I need to have for future events. And so we got on the trail. Everything's going good. I realize once it starts getting a little bit colder that I had neglected to put my thermal blanket. I've got a Mylar blanket that I usually put in my pack and take with me because you just never know when you may need that. In my mind, this may not work in real life, but in my mind, that blanket could not only serve as like a warmth or a water shielding type device, but it could also be sort of a occlusive type of dressing for, and if there's nothing else to use, it could be used to maybe stop blood flow. I don't know, applying pressure on a wound, but mainly to keep water off of you and to keep retain your body warmth in an emergency situation. So I had not taken that. I had left it in my truck, and I had not taken any of my I've got little breakout first aid kits that I will put in my pack sometimes. It's nothing much. It's just some bandages and like some balm for like chafing or whatever, and some little plastic gloves or whatever, that kind of thing. I'll just put it in like a Ziploc bag. I got a ton of them, and then I'll just put it in my pack, carry it with me. And I didn't take a ace bandage, which I usually do take with me. So I neglected those things. It's not that I wouldn't have been fine without them. I was fine without them, but it's just, what if I would have needed them and then I didn't have them? And so the reason I mention all that is because in my rush, and this was something that was out of my element. Usually I don't run with other people. And so I'm not blaming anybody else, but I kind of listened to them more than I listened to myself. And so they were ready to go, and I just tried to like hurry as fast as I could and just get gone. But what I should have done was taken a minute just to think, like, do I have everything that I need? I did bring my cell phone, which is you should always take your cell phone with you, like inside of some kind of bag or something to keep the or a case or whatever to keep the water off of it. Even if it's a sunny day, always take your phone in something that's watertight, just in case. If you're ever in an emergency, the difference between life and death could possibly be that phone. That's your best bet over anything first aid or whatever that you could have, is having that phone and it working to be able to call 911 in an emergency. The other thing that I didn't do is I didn't really let anybody know that I was going up to Mauna Kea to run. So that's kind of an unforgivable sin to commit, and it happens to a lot of people, especially in Hawaii, because when you think about Hawaii, you think of, just beautiful scenery and just, awesome, having a good time and, taking in the sights. But what you don't think about is how dangerous the terrain and the weather can actually be. It's deadly dangerous here and in any place, really, if you are cavalier and don't consider your environment and don't stop to think about your preparedness. So not to be too overly serious or sobering or whatever, or condemning, or that's not my tone here, but just saying, like, take time. Don't again, I'm not like throwing this back on anybody that was there, but and I use this term very, very loosely, but like, don't succumb to peer pressure. Like, everybody wants to go. If everybody wants to go and you're like me and you're late and you're holding them up, then what you probably should do is just tell them, I'll catch up, and then let them go so they can go, and then you get your affairs in order, and then join them. Okay. It'll be okay if you don't take off, with the group to begin with. You can catch up with them. So just make sure you have all your stuff. And I would recommend going and buying a Mylar blanket and just keep it in your pack or keep it on your person if you're going to go out into the wilderness, just in general, especially by yourself. Take it even if you're going with other people, because you never know, they may need it too. But that's one of the things that I always carry, because it just comes in so handy. And the temperature drops significantly as you go up in elevation, and your temperature is going to drop significantly if you get soaking wet. And it doesn't matter. I believe you can get hypothermia in 70-degree weather if you're wet enough and there's enough wind blowing. I think your core temperature can drop enough to get a case of hypothermia. I may be wrong on that. Maybe I should Google that instead of giving misinformation. So let's see, highest temp hypothermia. Okay, so we're about to find out. Google's going to tell us. All right. So this is actually telling hyperthermia. I'm going to click on it just in case. I think it tells both ends of the spectrum. So at 91 degrees Fahrenheit, you can experience amnesia. So actually, no, this is telling you. So if your body temperature goes to 91 degrees Fahrenheit, you will experience or can experience amnesia. At 82 degrees Fahrenheit, you can lose consciousness. Below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, you are said to have profound hypothermia and death can occur. The record for the lowest body temperature at which an adult has been known to survive is 56.7 degrees Fahrenheit. So up on the mountain that day, as far as my watch registered, it was 42 degrees Fahrenheit. What I'm trying to get at is not the lowest temperatures somebody has gone and lived, but there's actually a number. It's like it's an unbelievable number. Like, it was actually warm outside and somebody got hypothermia. So let's see if I can find it. This is mostly talking about like colder temperatures and sub-zero temperatures. This is not making for a good podcast trying to find this. Let me check another source. What temperature could cause hypothermia? So normal body temperature is around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Hypothermia occurs as your body temperature falls below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's only, about 3 or 4 degrees that your body temperature has to fall to start experiencing, mild hypothermia. So here's what I was looking for. Most cases occur in air temperatures of 30 to 50 degrees, but people can succumb to overexposure even at 60 or 70 degrees. So even if it's 60 or 70 degrees outside, you can still get hypothermia. There is an instrument called a wet bulb globe thermometer, and we used to use them when I was a corpsman in the Navy. And what this instrument does is it actually takes a few different temperatures of the same air, but on one thermometer there is nothing. So in other words, it's just a thermometer just in the atmosphere, and it will take one temperature. So then you've got a bulb that you put a wet piece of cloth over, and that will give you I guess like a temperature of if you're wet or if it's wet, like this is the temperature. So that's going to be colder than the one that's just in the ambient air. And then there's a third thermometer, and I can't remember what that one does. But anyway, yeah. So the point being is that the same air can be different temperatures depending on that's what it is. So you've got one that's inside the bulb, and that's a without wind type temperature. And then you've got the other thermometer that's wet, has a wet piece of cloth on the end of it. So you got the wet temperature, the dry temperature, and then the temperature with no wind. It's kind of like inside of a bulb, the end of it. So there's 3 different temperatures in the same air. And so that's why you can get hypothermia at 60 or 70 degrees, because if you're soaking wet, which we all were, because it did start raining as we got a little bit higher up in elevation. It was just a misting type of rain. We did all get cold. Matter of fact, I couldn't feel the front part of my legs at one point. Like I was still running and functioning fine. I was not shivering because I was moving, but like if I touched the front of my legs with my hand, I couldn't feel my leg with my hand, which was bad because I had on gloves, but my hands were still that cold. But then also my leg, I couldn't feel my hand touching my leg. And so that's not good when that happens. That's pretty cold. So that was a lot of talking just to tell everyone to remember to bring your stuff that you need, your emergency supplies. You don't have to bring like a whole 50-pound Molly medical kit. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying bring emergency blanket, bring some food to get you through, and maybe a little bit more just in case. Make sure you're wearing warm clothes. So on that particular day, I should have had on a beanie to retain some head heat because I have zero hair on the top of my head. And also some kind of waterproof or water resistant shell to stop the wind and to stop my upper body, my torso, from getting saturated and becoming colder. Because once you begin getting that cold, all your blood flow is redirected towards maintaining your core body temperature. So it's going to be shunted towards your vital organs, your heart and everything that's kind of like in your chest. that's where your blood flow is going to go. And so it kind of goes like out of your head, out of your legs, which are like the main things that you need when you're at that, when you're in like kind of a situation like that with very rough terrain and high elevation. You need your mind, you need your legs to get you out of that. So dress accordingly, bring your emergency supplies. Don't be like a last minute person like me. Prepare for these things. So that's my whole lesson with that. But all in all, like I enjoyed running with those folks, and it was a cool little excursion. Nothing bad happened, thankfully. We actually turned around a little bit sooner than we thought, which was one of the good things that we did. I mean, everything we did was fine, but that was a really good decision to turn back instead of just keep going, because where we were at was pretty far out in respect to, like, it was a lot of going up and down hills to get back to our vehicles, and the weather was kind of it was what's the word, unpredictable at that point. We knew that there were storms around. We didn't know for sure at that elevation if storms would move in, but it's pretty safe to say that it is a good possibility, especially with the current changing weather pattern. We were moving to like a different side of the mountain as well. We were kind of on a south facing or southern face, and we were moving towards sort of wait a minute, let me make sure I get this right. We started on an east facing, so facing towards the trade winds that were blowing in, and then we kind of stopped and turned around on a northern face. Yeah. Right before we kind of sort of got to the north face. So we turned back around at that point, which I think was a good call on everybody's part. Yeah, so a lot of things to learn there. Like, don't just keep going because you're tough. Because it's easy to forget just how far back it is to your vehicle. And I'm telling you, like, going out was pretty much all uphill, but going back down was not that much easier than going up, if I'm being honest, because the terrain was super rocky. It was hard to know if the ground was firm or if the rocks were loose. And so it was kind of like a slow go, and it was steep enough to where, for me, I'm kind of cautious because I've fallen in, the recent past, and I don't really want to repeat that on volcanic rock anytime soon. So I'm a little bit more cautious when I'm going down these inclines. But even if I weren't, it's still kind of a slow go. Going down the side of R1, these Jeep roads. But yeah, it was fun, and it kind of got me back in the spirit of doing tough things and wanting to get out and going to these places that are out of the way and have that additional element of we're not in Kansas anymore. That was kind of a light version of that. If we would have gone, we were planning on going 2 hours out and then 2 hours turn around and then 2 hours back in. If we would have done the full 2 hours out, it would have been more of the we're not in Kansas anymore. So this was we're not in Kansas anymore light, and it was fine because my legs were sufficiently tired by the time we got back to my truck, and but my spirits were super raised, and I'm super enthused about going back to do that. And if I could, logistically, financially, I would go. I would do that run every weekend. I think that's a great one, up R1. But sometimes, weather will just not cooperate. Like even with the best gear, it may not be wise to be up on the side of that particular mountain. But yeah, so good times had by all. I did get exposed to a new thing that I'd never seen before. One of the people that I was running with had this jacket, and it was made by Gore. It's a Gore-Tex jacket, shake dry fabric. If you can find these, I don't know. I can't recommend it because I don't have one yet, but it was the coolest thing I've seen. It's paper thin shell, but according to the guy that was wearing it, it kept him totally dry, and it's also wind blocking. So the whole time we were going, he was totally dry and somewhat warm because he was wearing, he had maybe like a fleece or something on underneath this thing. But he was fine. He was fine to actually keep going, he said. And it was the coolest fabric. You just literally, it's called shake dry. So it gets wet, you shake it and the moisture just pops off. And I don't know a whole lot about the material, but I do believe that this particular fabric is not the traditional kind of water resistance where it's sort of a chemical that you apply to it that makes the water bead off. I think that this is actually some kind of fabric technology. So like the fabric itself is woven or manufactured to where it doesn't let water molecules through the fabric. I think that's true. Look it up just to make sure. But it's the coolest thing ever, but it is so expensive. You can find it right now if you are a female or you like to wear female clothes. Sierra actually has these jackets for about $100. The men's version is somewhere around $250 to $300 for these jackets. According to the guy that had his on last weekend's run, it's totally worth it, and it's a must-have for your gear for getting out in adverse weather. Hoka has a version. There's several different versions of these jackets. They're actually not versions. There's several different jackets by different, I guess, manufacturers that use this shake dry fabric. So you may be able to look around and find another brand besides Gore that makes these things. I found one on the Hoka website and it was $250, and so with tax and free shipping it was around $261 to get this jacket. There's some others, I can't remember the brands, but there are some others that do use the same fabric. And then there's some different versions of the jacket that don't have hoods that you can get. For me, I wanted the hooded version just because anything I'm going to wear on my head as far as like a fleece beanie or something like that, it needs to stay dry in order to work. Wool, if I had a wool beanie, I don't have a wool beanie. I don't know if that would be super comfortable or if it would be super itchy. I'm not sure. But wool is not, if it gets wet, still remains effective. It still remains warm. Fleece is, once it gets wet, it's not, it loses its warming properties. Having a hood keeps the wind off, which was a huge thing that day. My ears were pretty cold. And so it would have been nice. I had what do you call it? Handkerchief type thing tied around my head, and I had a ball cap on top of that. So I just wasn't very prepared, very equipped for that cold and the wet. So the hood, it's multi-purpose, keeps your head from being wet, and then also keeps it maybe a little bit warm, keeps that heat inside. You can cinch down the hood and sort of stay a little bit warm. But yeah, so cool piece of gear, Gore-Tex Shake Dry. And so they make those for running, and then they also make them for cycling. And then I think they have, fashion versions of those jackets as well. So whatever your fancy, I think they've got you covered. But yeah, so Sierra had some good deals. Honestly, the women's version, if you can fit into their largest one and you're a guy, they don't look that much different from the men's version. If you can save like $200, I mean, I think that would be totally worth it. They were just too small for me. I'm kind of a big guy, so there was just no way the extra large in the quote unquote women's size was going to be just too small for me. So I couldn't take advantage of those great deals, but Sierra has them for pretty cheap right now. I was able to get some running tights from Sierra's website. So I'll be wearing those next time I go up on a rainy, windy day on Mauna Kea instead of just shorts. That was a little bit of a mistake. My legs were like frozen solid by the time we got back to the truck, which was only, I think, like an hour, maybe like an hour, 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours. I don't remember, but I could actually just look at Strava right now. 2 hours, about 2 hours exactly. We were out, and I was already sort of a popsicle at 42 degrees Fahrenheit, 100% humidity, rainy. The wind speed was 8 miles an hour, and it felt like 36 degrees Fahrenheit, according to Strava. So that's pretty cold. I talked that to death, but the bottom line to that is Shake Dry is cool. I like it. It's way expensive for my taste. If you listen to this podcast before, and if you just know me as a person, I'm not particularly into like, I don't ascribe to the belief that you have to have all the fanciest gadgets in order to do something that you love, like run, and you don't. You could easily run on beach road like I've been doing and probably never need a Shake Dry jacket. But if you want to challenge yourself and you want to live to run another day up on Mauna Kea, then I would suggest that you do have some sort of something to keep you dry and some sort of something to keep you warm if you're going to run up there. All right, I think I've talked about that so much, but it was a fun trip. I was glad I got to go. I'm hoping to go back many more times. And again, that was the R1 trail. So it's a Jeep road hiking, I think motorcycle, ATV, maybe horses too. I think the whole shebang. You can go on that. And then there's other Jeep roads, you name it. R whatever. R1 and R10 are kind of like the main the main ones, and then everything else sort of splits off from there. But look at a map. It's an interesting bowl of spaghetti, all the trails that are up there. And so that was trail time. I really have not much for alternative modality. I went back to hot yoga yesterday. I kind of laid off for a little bit just because of that heel injury, and then also because of leading up to the ultramarathon. I didn't want to go and stretch that anything else too far, or overexert that heel, lose a bunch of electrolytes. I was kind of sort of tapering for a week preceding the ultra, and then after, I kind of laid off too for all the same reasons. I could barely walk. I was kind of like limping around for about a week, but I did go back to hot yoga yesterday, and it was awesome. They're always really nice at Hilo Hot Yoga, or Hot Yoga of Hilo. I don't remember which one it is, but they're always really nice, always good classes. I like it because it always makes me think about how much I wish it would hurry up and be over. And so I know that I'm building some resilience, and I know that it's not easy. I prefer things not be easy and be a little bit tough, So that's one of the reasons I like it, because it's hot, it's uncomfortable, I'm stretching, but then also I'm noticing improvement in my flexibility. And so my reasons for going were for the heat, because I like to sit in saunas, I like to sit in hot tubs, I like that heat element. But then also I knew that my flexibility, like sitting and reaching, touching my toes, or, being able to bend over and be flexible, I knew that I'm suffering in that area, and it's not good to lose that flexibility. So I wanted to have that, and I can see that it's improving. So for the foreseeable future, I'll be going back to hot yoga at least twice a week. But that's it for alternative modality. Again, Hot Yoga of Hilo, I believe, is the actual name of the place, and it's on Bayfront. Super nice. You can sign up for, I think the first month is about a third of what the regular ultimate pass will be. So it's kind of a good deal just to check it out. Just the tips, I kind of gave everybody the tips. Just, use your brain before, during, and after these big runs, or, make sure you're not getting in and over your head going into a training run or going into a race. Don't show up to gym class believing that you're going to climb the rope. Show up to gym class, with huge biceps and forearms, because you've been training, and then climb the rope. Carry all your emergency supplies. Make sure you dress for the weather. If you need to turn around for your own safety or whatever reason, then do it. Carry your cell phone. Those are just the tips for today. And then also, never forget your emergency blanket. Always have your Mylar emergency blanket. They're so cheap. Why not carry one in your vehicle all the time? I do. What about Strava? Nothing much. Strava. Mental nuggets. I think I'm out of mental nuggets. I don't have any sort of like personal advice for this week. I think just the same thing that I've always said. If you're in a sticky situation, always look around. Remember that that's not how it's going to be forever. That's just how it is for right now. Press on and you'll come through on the other side, and things will definitely change. And that's true for any time in life. Things are always going to change. And so don't get down. Just look around and know that you can get through it. Good tracks this week. So most people will not understand this, but so good tracks is just where I tell you what I've been listening to, in the hopes that you'll find it amusing or useful information. So most people won't find this useful or amusing, won't know what I'm talking about. But back in the day when I was a much younger man, I'm talking high school and young adulthood, like 20s, there used to be a radio station in Atlanta, WNNX 99.7, 99X. And they were popular for their alternative mix. So you could find, anything from like 311, Cake, Nerf Herder, Sum 41, to like The Cure, The Police, the Ramones, like pretty much anything alternative, you could find it on 99X. And so they had, just this incredible mishmash of disc jockeys, and it all just worked. It was the alternative station. And I'm sure that there were ones like it in other places, but it was kind of like an institution for kids growing up within reach of their frequency. So like all through high school, that was like the thing, 99X, and they would always have all their festivals, Big Day Out, and promoting different concerts. And so it was just a different era, I think, in music in general. But they also had a morning show, which went through like several iterations. But Barnes, Leslie, Jimmy, and Toucher were the morning hosts that I can remember. And I used to always enjoy listening to them, and they would always have like special guests. And so, well, not really. Yes, they would have special guests, but they would always have like special segments. There was a bunch of like different characters that were sort of like recurring staples on that show. But recently, for whatever reason, I kind of went down memory lane and decided to poke around and found out that the morning show hosts actually got back together. So Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy got back together to do a podcast. And of course, they've all moved on. They all do different stuff now. But there's a podcast that is on Spotify. It's called The Pop Culture Show. And that is the former host of the 99X morning show. And so I've been enjoying listening to that. Of course, that's a podcast. It's not really music. But another thing I did discover too was on Spotify, there are several different playlists that play that have 99X rotation on them. So anything that you would have heard on 99X is on some of these playlists. There's several different ones. Some are more prolific than others, but I found one particular one that has just a lot, and so I like to put that on shuffle. And it's really it's a really neat feeling, like, because so many songs have memories attached to them, like good memories. from being a teenager, being a crazy kid, and different people, different memories attached to all these songs, and so it's cool to listen to that particular Spotify and just hear all this stuff. And so that's been cool. The 99X Spotify stations, I guess you would call them, but and then also finding out that the morning show had gotten back together. But those are my good tracks for this particular podcast, and so I think that's about it. I'm not even sure what the time is on this, but I'm pretty sure I've been going far too long. Only about an hour, 25 minutes, but I think that's enough for my idle chit chat for this episode. But yeah, everybody out there, stay safe. Thanks for listening. I will be back. Hopefully, I'm going to talk to this guy, Justin, and see if I can get him on the podcast. He's actually the one that invited me to Mauna Kea last weekend, and he's the one that ran around Big Island. So I'm pretty sure this guy's got a lot of interesting things to talk about, and he's a pretty cool guy. So I'm going to see if I can get him on and maybe have a little bit better conversation back and forth for the next episode, just as a thank you to everyone who's still listening. But yeah, so continue to stay safe, and until next time, take care.